What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Thank you so much again for tuning back in here for part 2 of our conversation here with Brian Brown, former NC State pitcher, 2018 ACC Pitcher of the Year. Again, so make sure first of all, if you haven't checked out part 1 yet, make sure to go check out part 1 first. Again, we talked about his time at NC State, talk about what brought him to NC State, talk about his time in the pros, and also to Coach Avent as well. And definitely was awesome to have that conversation with him. So make sure to go check that out first. But also to make sure, again, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram. But Brian, jumping right into it. So, I mean, how much are you able, to follow NC State baseball, in your daily life? I mean, are you able to catch a couple games here and there on TV or?
Absolutely, man. I watch a good bit of games actually.
Good.
Those weekday games during work, you flip it on in the background, watch them play a little bit.
You got it.
But I try to flip it on the weekends a little bit. I follow them a good bit.
Yeah, good deal. Well, I mean, so definitely jumping in, because obviously back in June there was an event that wasn't that big of a deal, but I guess we'll talk about it here. But definitely, I mean, what an amazing situation, obviously, from beginning to end. First of all, about how that team started off as, one of the bottom teams in the ACC, and then all of a sudden they've had this COVID outbreak, and then from there on out, they just took off and were impressive ever since. And then, to make it all the way to the ACC championship game, unfortunately losing to Duke, but giving Pollard his first Duke ACC championship, which, hats off to him, good for him. And then, going to Louisiana Tech, taking care of business, beating Arkansas at Arkansas. I mean, it really is an amazing story within itself. And what were your kind of initial thoughts, seeing this team, especially at the beginning of the journey, not necessarily when they made it to the College World Series, but what were your kind of initial thoughts, on when you watched this team overall?
Yeah, no, obviously in the beginning they were struggling a little bit, but I mean, it takes some teams some time to find their identity for sure. Pitching, getting the guys in the right spots, hitting. But it was awesome for them to pull through and take it on to the later part of the year. And that's when it really counts, man. Hot at the end of the year, you'll be good.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, and also too, I'll ask this as well. Have you ever been to Arkansas's baseball? Like, have you ever been to Arkansas baseball game? Ever?
I have not. It looks amazing. Just the stadium and everything. And that last game had me on the edge of my seat for sure, man.
Oh yeah. Well, and because I think honestly for even me too, see, I'm a guy that is kind of like, I'm a State fan where I kind of look at it as, realistically, what are we supposed to do here? And I mean, like going to that third game, I pretty much said, hey, listen, like Arkansas, the pressure's on Arkansas to win that game. It's not on us to win that game. The pressure's on Arkansas to win that game. And so I was like, we're just playing with house money at this point. Like, if we win, that's huge. If we lose, so be it. And because
good season.
Yeah, great season for sure. And because especially too, I could argue that I think every State fan who was there would say that Arkansas is one of the toughest environments of college baseball. There's no doubt about it. Even on TV watching it, you're going, golly,
it was loud.
I'm not having to deal with that. Like in the picks. It was like,
now that's like playing at Durham Bulls Stadium when UNC versus us. That type of crowd every night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not wrong. So obviously wanted to kind of hear a little bit in terms of your thoughts on pitching staff first of all. So obviously highlighted by Mr. Sam Highfill, the NC State legend that will forever be for his performance as a first baseman. Being called as the first baseman in the College World Series is unbelievable. But I guess I'll ask you this. Can you imagine that situation of basically pitching the day before, 2 days before, and then they would come to you saying, hey, want to go play first base? That's craziness.
I wish that happened to me, honestly. I play a little first in high school, so I would have been okay with it.
Okay.
But nah, especially coming in against Rocker, one of the best pitchers. I don't know. I probably would have swung and missed 9 times, struck out 3 times. So
yeah,
for what he did, it's crazy. And I do really like watching him pitch. He knows how to pitch, in my opinion.
Yeah. No. Well, again, for him to hold his own against Vanderbilt for pretty much most of the game, really, was huge, because not only for him, but also too for even our depth wise, as well as, again, assuming that we would have been able to go into that second game against Vanderbilt at full staff, then pretty much by that point, you've really only used a couple of pitchers to that point, and you could still even
Right.
bring back Evan Justice if you want to as well. So, I mean, that's the thing that really kills me about that game is that, man, we had so much pitching depth going in.
Yeah, we would have been lined up. Yeah.
Golly, we've been healthy.
Absolutely. And I was actually fortunate enough to be there in Omaha for our first two games.
Oh, cool.
So that was just amazing to see firsthand, and it was great, man. Like we had at least in my class, we had at least 5 or 6 former players there too. We were just hanging out, man, having a good time. It was amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah, then I'm surprised I didn't run into you then, but because I was there for the first 2 games as well.
Lane was out there, yeah.
Yeah. So was that your first time ever to the College World Series?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll definitely go back, and hopefully NC State will be there for sure. That's a crazy. I know there's not a whole lot around Omaha, but during those weeks or whatever it is, the week and a half, it's really crazy there.
Yeah, Brian, we asked a few people who we've interviewed about that, and they were saying how even they were talking on the TV how NC State seemed to be America's team. That's the catchphrase stays. Could you get that vibe yourself? What's your firsthand experience?
Of course, everybody's pulling for the underdog, and the underdog that's doing well as well, not just underdog in general.
Yeah, so, whooping everybody's butt.
No, absolutely.
That's awesome, man. So, I'm curious, from this team that you saw that we had, Pac-13 team, the welcome back to the stadium, they had. What is your opinion on what this team should be remembered for? And I guess I'm also curious what you think they'll the guys coming back, what their mindset should be going into the upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, as far as remembered for, I mean, I guess they have to be one of the best NC State baseball teams. I mean, they made it the farthest.
Yeah.
It could not be as much talent as other teams or high. I mean, they had a lot of draft picks, but as high as draft picks. But I mean, it was just amazing to watch those guys and make it that far. And especially when I was there, like obviously I didn't get to Omaha, but I felt being a former player, I felt like a part of that as well. I didn't get the whole glitz and glam of the sitting in the dugout and everything like that.
Sure.
But it was still amazing, man.
Yeah, sure.
Well, let me ask you this: what are your thoughts about the younger pitchers? Like we saw some of those guys pitching, and we're going to see a lot more of them this upcoming season. When you were in Omaha watching, when you watched this past season, do you have any impressions on those young guys?
So I mean, the more experience you get, the better you're going to be. That's for a fact. So I mean, that's why I'm glad I pitched when I first did as a freshman, because it gave me that experience throughout my whole career. But definitely promising, man. I mean, as long as you can throw strikes and mix up speed, you'll be just fine. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I'm thinking in particular, I noticed was it Garrett Payne was one of the main guys they went to.
Yep.
And during that Pac-13 game, they had to bring in a young guy, and I remember he did well. He didn't blow you away, but he did well. And
I mean, for being a freshman on that stage, man, and not having he probably threw like 10 innings combined before that.
Maybe.
Probably,
yeah. That was great, man. I'm sure hopefully it'll propel him into this year to pitch well.
Yeah, I would definitely say that he made a strong argument for getting into the starting pitcher lineup at some point, whether it's a midweek or a weekend or whatever it is. I think he's definitely made a strong point. But one thing as well, which I wanted to kind of see if you would kind of echo this as well, or maybe even add something a little bit different to this is I know when we talked to one of our own, Rob Chimra as well, who's a former in-state pitcher as well. When we kind of talked to him about the situation with Garrett and like tell him, hey, can you imagine Avon coming to you, when you're pretty much expecting to more likely ride the bench unless you need to come in for relief or whatever it may be, and then all of a sudden saying, hey, in an hour or two, you're going to be starting against Vanderbilt, and he didn't know at the time, but probably maybe one of the most watched games ever in college baseball. I mean, I can't imagine a single person not watching that game, I mean, that's a crazy situation. But I mean, pretty much Rob's answer was basically, I mean, you don't really have time to think about it. You just go do.
At that point.
Go do. So, I mean, do you kind of echo that, or do you have anything to add kind of to that, maybe in terms of how you would kind of attack that situation?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're kind of just thrown into the fire, but I will say he had to have been, I don't really know him personally or asked him, but he had to have been super nervous. I can't imagine you not be. Even myself, I pitched started 63 times, 62 times. I still had butterflies before I started every single time. That's just how it was, no matter if it was obviously my first or my 62nd time pitching.
Yeah. Now, the one thing which I do want to ask you from a baseball perspective is something I'm curious about is, one of the things that I think a lot, maybe Vanderbilt fans maybe would have said, or, maybe some fans would say when, you look at how Sam Highfield hit 3 times, off of Vanderbilt and off of Rocker. And, and then basically a lot of people say, well, the Vanderbilt didn't have time to, or they didn't have a chance to watch film on these guys or whatever it may be. I mean, in my opinion, from the non-baseball perspective, I would say that if I haven't seen you before and you haven't seen me before, that more likely the pitcher has the advantage because again, you're the one controlling the ball, but then it's up to the batter to make contact with it. So, but so do you say there's any kind of, does that make sense at all? Or I kind of want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, just thinking back to high school, did anybody have film on anybody hitting before?
That's right.
So
yeah.
So I don't think I don't see any kind of like different advantage to that at all, man.
Yeah.
If anything, like you said, like the pitcher, like if I faced Florida State, my last year, 2018, I faced them the last series of the year, and then in the ACC tournament,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and then they crushed me the second time.
Right.
I feel like that was an advantage for them. They just saw me, and they know kind of idea what I'm throwing.
How much do you guys watch film from a college baseball perspective? Like, how much is that really? Because you talked about like you just go out there and you just take care of business, and how much does film watching really happen and like really matter in baseball?
Well, for hitting perspective, seeing pitchers pitch, I feel like that happens a lot.
Like motions and how they throw and mechanics.
Tendency, pitches, what in certain situations. Myself personally, me and Coach Foxhall, when I was there, had a great relationship. We would go over some things. He watched tons of film way more than I did. But mine was more in-game, me pitching wise, like reading how they're swinging at my pitches or if they're taking my changeup, my slider, my fastball in, anything like that. So mine was more in-game pitching wise, but hitting, I can definitely see film being a very useful tool.
Yeah, was there a specific, maybe even a player or even just the team as a whole that when you guys went up against them, especially when you were pitching, you knew that it was just going to be a tough out every time up?
Let me go. I'll start off this one while I'm still thinking. My freshman year, 2015, the University of Miami had one of the best hitting lineups I've ever faced. They had Carl Chester, Zach Collins, Willie Abreu, David Thompson.
David Thompson? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Other than that, let me see. I don't know what it was about when I faced UNC, though. I faced them 4 times in my career. I would pitch good sometimes, and I got roughed up a couple times, but I never pitched like one fantastic game against them. They always kind of had my number. I don't know what it was.
Well,
sounds terrible to say.
I
can see that rivalry.
Yeah.
Rivalry game.
Big.
You're pumped up for that. I can see it.
Yeah. Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out. So now I got to jump right to it because I know that all State fans are probably screaming at our podcast going, talk about Doak. So we're going to talk about Doak now because obviously got to, because that's definitely a big piece of news here sitting on the table.
Yeah. Do you guys hear that? Do you hear it? It's that time. It's that time.
It's that time. Talk about Doak. So Brian, I'm assuming, first of all, I want to ask, that you've seen all the the computer layouts and all the, what's going to be upgraded and all that jazz.
Yep. Saw it on Twitter and it was awesome, man.
Yeah. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit? What were your initial thoughts when you first saw all the upgrades that they were talking about?
For sure. Definitely the hitting facility up there on the right right field line.
Yeah.
Before we only
That's the main
had
thing.
two cages right there. Just having like I think they even saw a pitching lab in there. With analytics being like pumped up nowadays, that's gonna be huge. Just spin rate and arm angle, all that stuff. And definitely just more. I know the hill's a staple of NC State, at least in my opinion, when I think of it. But having that like flat surface and more seating right there, like actual seating, I think it would be really cool.
Now, the one thing that I know all State fans are talking about is that new section down the first baseline where I guess you book a group
Tents.
and you have a tent and a grill, which is crazy. I mean, I can't even imagine what the logistics going to be of how all that's going to work. But I mean, I feel like that's got to be a very unique thing. I don't know if I've seen many like that where you have your own grill, at your section. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That looked really cool. I didn't know. Maybe you guys could explain too on the inside of indoor, are fans going in that part? Did they have
I
them
saw
watching
that
on the
too.
couch like that?
I don't
Or
know.
is it like,
I noticed that. Yeah.
I think it was like a player. It seemed like it was like a player's like lounge area.
like film?
That's
could be something
or
like
just
that.
like playing Xbox or PlayStation, whatever it may be. That's what it seemed
Gotcha.
like, at least. But yeah, no, I mean, now the one thing which I definitely, if you had to ask me what to prioritize, I would say the scoreboard needed an upgrade. So glad that's happening for
Yeah.
sure. But also too, a lot of fans, I know a lot of fans that reached out to us specifically that were had issues with upgrades were saying that they wanted shade over the bleachers. And I mean, would you say that maybe that should have been prioritized maybe over something else? Or, I mean, what are your kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain too much about getting upgrades because it was much needed. But yeah, I could definitely see that because I'm just being out there. It's extra hot.
Sure.
And I guess you're gonna have to go under the tents with people grilling now.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
And my favorite one was where you actually can sit in the bullpen with the. I'm kidding. No.
Yeah. Per the computer, you just look, fans are sitting.
If you donate enough, you get to call 3 of the pitches.
yeah. There you go.
Hey,
if I did have to add something though, I would definitely add. That would be probably 1, and then 2. I feel like eventually it will happen, but some outfield seats would be pretty nice.
Oh
yeah.
I imagine they're going to do that at some point. They're going to do that at some point.
They definitely need to expand the capacity.
There's so much space back there to do it too. So
there is
like that left field side, especially that'll happen.
Well, it's also
but I don't know that backfield. I don't think there's some like owning rights to that backfield back there, something like that. So they have to
where
jump
the screen is on the right field or the left field. You mean where there's like Lee Field or whatever it is?
Lee Field, yeah, Lee Field. Yep. So I don't know. I think it's more into that than just bopping out the fence.
Doing it.
I remember when I was in college, there's a game or two. I think there's at least one game I remember where I walked up behind center field and I got right up over the wall and was watching a little bit of the game from center field, and I had like within about 15, 20 minutes had somebody come around just like
security guard.
Yeah. But I do gotta say it wasn't my preference, whenever I'd be watching a game, whenever I look over left field and I see some guys playing ultimate frisbee or whatever it may be on the field. It's like, I want to see fans out there, like, come on now.
It's perfect
UC's
spot.
got their jungle thing, and Arkansas is huge, and we need fans out there.
Hey, trust me, baby steps out here.
Yeah, it'll happen eventually.
Beggars can't be choosers. That's the thing I live by, and so then we got something, so which we'll take. And I'm sure with what Avon's been able to do with what he already had, that just having that will help out a lot. Because definitely you had to focus more on making the players happy than necessarily right now making the fans happy. Because again, it's all about recruiting right now. Got to bump that up a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I think. That's the main thing. It's going to help recruiting. Say you're bringing in a kid, and they're seeing Clemson's mansion of facilities over there, and then ours. They're probably leaning more towards them. But
sure,
you have to bring the fact that the player development that we have here and our just recent history, it speaks for itself.
Well, and that's one thing too I want to ask you too. So I mean, with Avon obviously not really being able to rely on the facilities per se to recruit, what would you say it is that Avon is able to promote or so well that he's been able to get as good of a talent as he has been with the Carlos Rodon, the Trey Turners, all these guys. I mean, what would you say that he's really pushing to kind of help them overlook the facility issue?
I think it's just going for those blue collar guys that are willing to put in the work and get better. And Coach Hart, and I wasn't under Coach Chrysler, but I heard they're just tremendous teachers, and everybody listens to them when they talk. So that only helps.
Yeah.
And will we be catching you in Raleigh for any in-state games here in the near future?
So I was actually looking at it today. I was looking to come down April 28th. I think it's a series against Radnor. It's home.
Yeah.
Me and Coach Avon's birthday is actually on that Sunday. We have the same birthday. So
nice.
Oh, that's so cool.
Cool.
I'm sure that was probably a little maybe a recruiting pitch as well, being like, "Hey,
yeah,
same birthday."
No, I actually didn't even know until my freshman year. He comes in. It was May 1st. It was my birthday. I was like,
yeah.
He comes in. He was holding the cake. I was like, oh, nice. He really knows my birthday. It says "Happy Birthday, Coach Avon" on it. I was like, we got the same birthday.
That's so funny. And obviously wrapping up here, unfortunately, Brian, but one thing which I did want to ask you, so whenever state fans take a look back and think about Brian Brown, what would you say that you would want your legacy to be in a state? What would you say that you would want fans to think about or say whenever they think about the career of Brian Brown at NC State?
I would just sum it up, probably one word, being consistent. Man, we knew I was going to go out there and give you 5, 6, 7, 2 or 3 runs. So I'd definitely say consistent. Yeah,
absolutely. And then one other fun thing as well. So do you have a favorite, I guess in baseball it's called a kit, or, do you have a favorite uniform combination? And you can even use a combination you've seen even after you left as well.
Yeah. First, I would say I don't know about the all red ketchup uniforms. I never wore them, but I don't know about those.
Yeah.
But my favorite one was my freshman year. We had the throwbacks with the black stripe in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are really cool. They were kind of heavy, like to wear, but I think they look pretty cool.
Do you mean the White Sox ones, or which one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the mid '80s White Sox look. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those.
Yep. And do you think it makes it, because I know that a lot of state fans, well, if you ask them even today, they would actually say they prefer the Block S on the baseball or on the baseball uniforms than they really do the Tuffy logo. I mean, do you have a preference at all on that in that topic?
I don't think I do on that.
Yeah.
Veering away a little bit, but I saw on the rings they got this logo on the shirt, I think, with the little Tuffy.
Yeah.
I like that one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
Even though they're never going to put that on the uniform, obviously, but I like that logo a lot.
Never say never, man. It
never say never. That is for sure.
True.
Technically, football did it. So
yeah,
that is true.
And I feel like baseball always has like the most, the most options for jerseys.
But can we imagine a diamond logo baseball uniform? I think that'd be pretty sick.
No, that would be weird, but kind of cool. I think. I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about that.
That'd be kind of sick just to see, But I always say that you can't judge a uniform until you see it in person. Like pictures or videos don't do it justice.
Sure.
You have to donate to the baseball facility fundraising thing late to be able to make that call.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right. Yeah, Brian. Well, again, I appreciate your time again, and thank you so much again for coming on here, and again, just talking about your time and talk about Pac-9 here a little bit. Again, hopefully should be an awesome season here coming up, and hopefully again you can make some plans in June time to meet us all at the College World Series, right? Just do it all again.
Absolutely, I would definitely go back, man, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think I'm pretty much convinced, making Michael and pretty much my whole family that, yeah, I'm not going by myself this time. We're all going.
Yeah.
If we make it again,
list,
we're not
for sure.
Because there's no doubt that oh my gosh, that if state can make it back to the College World Series, that it's game over. Like we ain't losing. There's no way we're losing that. No way.
Absolutely.
No.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So again, thank you all again so much for tuning in for this conversation here. Again, we got a lot more exciting guests here coming up here to preview this Pac-9 season here. So make sure again to stay tuned, and also make sure to hit that subscribe button so that way you actually are notified whenever we release these new episodes. Give this video a like so that way more NC State fans can see this video, and also to give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now. But anyway, so thank you all so much again for tuning in. As always, go Pack.